Good day everyone. I'm Harry, your moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone for today's webinar, which is called HIPAA, a Post-Roe America Confusion Concerns Choice. So now I would like to introduce our presenter for today, Paul R. Hales. Paul R. Hales, JD, is widely recognized for his ability to explain HIPAA rules clearly in plain language. He is an attorney licensed to practice before the Supreme Court of the United States and a senior counselor of the Missouri Bar with an international practice in HIPAA privacy and security. So now I would like to hand over the floor back to our speaker. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Harry. That was a lot more information than I had expected, and probably a lot more information than you all need. Welcome to this webinar. We're going to talk about HIPAA in relation to the recent Supreme Court case that is called Dobbs versus the Jackson Women's Health Organization. And the purpose of the webinar is to examine HIPAA, which is a federal law that addresses the privacy of personal health information. And we're going to discuss HIPAA because we have to discuss its limitation. We'll discuss that recent Supreme Court decision, and we will discuss HIPAA compliance with respect to that Supreme Court decision. Now, let's look at what we're actually going to cover, the topics that we'll cover during the course of this webinar. Going to address the issue of what HIPAA really is. We'll look at the immediate effects of Dobbs. You are no doubt aware. We'll look at those. And we'll then look at some legal and some practical questions related to the Dobbs decision and the confusion that they cause and concerns. So there are some key definitions that apply specifically to what we're talking about, Post-Roe, the Dobbs decision. One definition in HIPAA is protected health information. And so HIPAA rules actually have 18 different identifiers, any one of which that relates to the past, present, or future physical or mental health or condition of an individual, the provision of health care to an individual, or payment for the provision of health care to an individual is protected health information. And the Department of Health and Human Services Inspector General is very concerned about medical identity theft, and you can find that information on there. Use means to use this individually identifiable health information within an organization. So let's look at Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health. What did the case decide and not decide? So here's what it does. It overturned the precedent of almost 50 years that protected access to abortion services before a fetus became viable. Roe is the most famous case. In the early 90s, there was another case, essentially agreed with Roe. It holds that abortion isn't a fundamental right protected by the Constitution. So, and it holds that state legislatures have the authority to regulate abortion. So now that's one of the elements that create chaos. Were a fundamental right, the court would give it what they call strict scrutiny. But rational basis simply leads the court, the Supreme Court, or any courts, federal courts that are addressing this issue. In Dobbs, the Mississippi legislature had made a written finding that the law at issue would serve an interest of protecting the life of the unborn. So Justice Alito said that's a legitimate, that meets the rational basis scrutiny. What it doesn't do is ban or limit abortions under federal or federal laws or Constitution. It doesn't establish a theory of personhood, the rights to the fetus, ban or prohibit contraception or overrule other Supreme Court decisions that apply to like conception. And it doesn't alter any other healthcare law. And the Department of Health and Human Services had guidance ready to go. So they issued guidance that focused on uses and disclosures as they apply to Dobbs. It issued guidance about personal device security. Now, those aren't regulated by HIPAA. They did focus on EMTALA, which is the Emergency Medical Treatment and Active Labor Act, and they explained that it supersedes any state abortion law. That's for someone who comes in to an emergency. Guidance for retail pharmacies. These are pharmacies that receive payments through Medicare and Medicaid. Go ahead and put up my contact information again. So this is the way that you may contact me. Thanks for your time today. I wish you well.